Okay, this is going to recap talking about the triads. So basically, it's like you're skipping every other note in a scale, or the major scale, and get the triad chord. So like, if you're using the C scale, you got your C, D, E, F, G notes. You start on start on C, you skip over D, land on E, and then you skip over F and land on G. So that's a very easy, quick explanation of a triad, which doesn't always necessarily work, but when you're dealing with like the modes in the major scale, that will turn out a triad if you skip every other note. So more detail, we talked about the major third, minor third distances. So a major third distance is 2 whole steps. So you go up a whole step, 2 frets, and then another 2 frets. That is a major third distance. The minor third distance is a step and a half, so that's going up a whole step followed by a half step. That is a minor third distance. The triads, you have 4 combinations, mixing up the minor and major third distances. Your major chord is going up a major third followed by a minor third. The minor chord is going up a minor third followed by a major third. The diminished chord is a minor third followed by a minor third. And the augmented chord is a major third followed by a major third. So when you have those interval combinations, the 1, 3, 5, 1 flat 3, 5, and so on, the interval combinations are talking about different degrees or notes within a major scale. So let's take the C scale again, and the 1, 3, 5 is referring to playing the first, the third, and the fifth note at the same time in the major scale. So C chord, you would start counting from the root note C, that's the first note, first interval, and you go 1, 2, 3. That gives you a E note, that's your third interval, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's your fifth interval. So those 3 notes together, C, E, and G, that gives you a C major chord. Now, we'll just stay on C for now. Keep it easy. So if you wanted to do a minor chord, you start the same way. You go 1, 2, 3, and then you take that 3, or the third interval, and you flat it. So your E becomes an E flat. And then the fifth interval is the same, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have the 1, flat, 3, and 5. So C, E flat, and G, or the 1, flat, 3, and 5. That gives you a minor chord. And then from there, working out a diminished chord, you do the same, start the same way, got your root note, and then you go 1, 2, 3, flat the third, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat the 5. So you have a 1, flat, 3, and 5. Starting on C, that gives you a C, E flat, G flat. Stack all those up, and you get that sound. And the last triad was the augmented. So you start with the 1, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sharp that 5. So in this case, that would give us a G sharp. So we have C, E, G sharp. And that's what you got there. So let's refer to that cheat sheet. So the way to look at it is you're going to look at, let's say like you got like 4 kind of rows, columns, whatever, for the 3 note per string, or not 3 note per string, just the 3 notes for chords, 3 note chords here. You got one starting on your E string looking like this, and then you go up to the A string, you have this shape for the major chord, and so on. So the way I'm looking to look at that, so you start with the first one, okay? You got your major chord, and then you look down below that, you got your minor chord. So it's taking this third interval, which is in the middle, and flattening that. And then for the diminished chord, it takes this fifth interval and flats that. So, and then compare the augmented to the major shape again, and you're taking this shape 1, 3, 5 and raising the 5 up, giving you that augmented sound. So that's how you're going to use that cheat sheet to compare. So you got major chord starting on the A string, there's your minor, there's your diminished, and then the augmented. And then major chord starting on the D string, and you make it minor, then diminished, and then augmented. So you could do the augmented with a bar, or you can do this kind of thing, kind of jumble your fingers up there. Either way works fine. And then last, you got the major chord starting on the G string. Then you make it minor, make that diminished, and then you've got augmented. That is definitely not a... That was the wrong shape I just moved. Back to major, and then there's your augmented chord. So the other cheat sheet, basically the same thing, but it's using this voicing, which is a very common voicing. You have 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. So it's 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. Once again, 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. So that's the interval combination you got there in this shape. 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. Remember this song. Remember this song. And that's what it is when you move up to the A string. Say you're doing a major chord here, it's going 1, 5, 1, 3, 5. No 1 anymore because we don't have another string. 1, 5, 1, 3, 5. 1, 5, 1, 3, 5. And then the last shape for a major chord, it's starting the same way, just 1, 5, 1, 3. 1, 5, 1, 3. No 5 and 1 coming next because we don't have the strings to do it. So 1, 5, 1, 3. So, going off of that, if we look at all the chords on the left side of your page, although on the camera it looks like the right, I guess over here would make more sense. Anyway, so you got your major chord. So you got 1, 5, 1, 3. That's your very important interval that makes it sound major. So to make it minor, you flat it. And then if you want to make it diminished, you have to flat the 5. Now in this case, it's you don't have enough fingers to flat both fifth intervals in this shape. So we simplify and we just flat that 5, and we're just going to go 1, flat 5, 1, flat 3. I recommend not barring this diminished shape, because if you do, you have a high risk of hitting that note, which is the fifth interval, and not the flat 5, so it's a different chord. You could play that if you wanted to, but it's not a diminished chord anymore. You could say, if you want to know what kind of chord it would be, you could say, well, let's see, in this case, what was I playing that on? Starting on C, the 8th fret there. You could call that a C minor add sharp 11, or C minor add sharp 4. So that's one way to call it, or one way to name that chord. I guess that would be 2 names, huh? Anyway, so yeah, don't bar that diminished shape if you want it to be diminished, because it's too high of a risk to play a wrong note. You could, let's see, how would that work? You could use your thumb over the top and have a flat 5 here as well. But yeah, you wouldn't be able to get that root note back in again unless you, I don't know, did something like, how would that work? Never mind, it ain't gonna work. Alright, anyway, then the next set of chords, so starting on the A string, you got your major shape. So remember our song, 1 5 1 3 5. So 1 5 1 3. There's your third interval, the very important one to make something major. So we flat that to make it minor. And again, for the diminished, what we didn't do augmented. Let's take it a step back. So back to the other one, the major chord starting on the E string. So major, minor, diminished. Now we go back to the major shape and we change that to an augmented. So there's your 5. So we raise that up. And then, yes, we have another 5 here, but again, just the hand's not designed to hit that thing. So simplify it, just hit those 4 strings and you're good. Now we go up to the A string for our root note. Major chord, take the third interval, flat that, got yourself a minor chord. We're going to do the same thing here with the diminished that we did on the other set of strings. We're going to focus on just 4 strings, and we're going to flat that 5, getting us our diminished sound. And then let's go back to the major shape. We're going to take the 5th interval, first one we come to, sharp that, and let's just worry about those 4 strings again. That gives us our augmented sound. And then last, the major chord shape starting on the D string. So 1 5 1 3. That's your third interval here on the high E string. We flat that. And we got our minor shape. For the diminished, we take our 5, flat that. And then let's go back to the major shape. 1 5 1 3. So now we get the 5 that we're going to sharpen. So this way we have our augmented sound. Alright, about covers everything we talked about on the last lesson, other than the 5th chords. Remember, 5th chord, you have a root note, and then it says 5, like E5, G5, A5, and so on. That is telling you you're playing the root note and the 5th interval. Yes, a lot of times you will see a power chord like this using 3 strings, but only 2 notes. It's still a 2-note chord because you have, let's say, an A5 chord has an A, E, and then an A again. So you have 2 different A's, but they're both the same note, just a different octave. So technically it's only 2 different notes, A and E, for an A5 chord. Alright, if you have any questions about that, let me know. Yes, I will be putting a theory ebook course together eventually. I have also started a rhythm ebook course, but I'm not sure when that's going to get finished. I have deadlines to, apparently I have a cat running around behind me. I have deadlines for a couple special videos that I'm trying to get out before the year is over. So schedule is pretty crammed right now. So the plan is sometime in 2017 I will have that rhythm ebook done and out. That's the goal. So you'll get to continue with your rhythm work there. Alright, boss. It's been good working with you. Let me know if you got questions, and I'll talk to you later.